Chapter 13, A Hard Question, read by Mrs. Hanberg. Swiftly and skillfully, Chai ran until he sensed he was safe. Better safe than sorry. Then, because he knew he would have to return to where the awful noise was if he wanted to rejoin his friends, he cocked his ear and listened for it. But he could hear nothing aside from the normal sounds of the forest. Had he run that far? Chai looked around. Not a clue. He sniffed. He listened. Nothing. A deer and her fawn browsed in the undergrowth. A woodpecker tapped nearby. A whiff of skunk drifted up. Had he run a great distance, or was the racket all over and done with? Chai went up top to see what he could see. When he found the line of frozen spiderwebs poking out of the forest, something was different. Chai squinted. It almost looked as if the forest had been split, chewed away around the spiderwebs, leaving them in a lonely, unprotected trough. Up to a point. Then the canopy remained undisturbed. He didn't know what to make of it. He looked for the silver egg and the great beak to orient himself, then descended to traveling level and headed back. As he drew closer, he passed huddles of squawking and squabbling creatures. Scraps of conversation reached his ears. "Monsters," said a chickadee. "Giants, fiends, my heart is still pounding. My down is standing on end."
"It was quite frightening," a rabbit murmured to a groundhog. I know I'm easily frightened, but even so, there was something big, something scary." "Hoodlums," came from the small screech owl, screeching to no one in particular from the safety of a hollow in a beech tree. "Barbarians, idiots, but what can you do? You pick yourself up, you pull yourself together, you move on." And Chai did move on. Presently he came to the third frozen spider web. The forest still surrounded it, but not far off he saw the kind of brightness that comes from a clearing that had not been there before. He decided to go up to the spiderweb for a better view. He had climbed just higher than the treetops when a voice from overhead called out, "Jed!" Startled, he looked up. Two reddish squirrels were watching him from a ledge that was part of the spiderweb. "No, is that Jed?" said the smaller one, patting the top of his own head. "That's not Jed," said the other. "Sorry, we thought you was someone else, someone we know, name of Jed." "He looks like Jed," said the first. "He's grey and all." "Jed ain't the only grey squirrel there is," said the big one.
"Do you know Jed?" asked Chai, climbing higher. "Have you seen him?"
"He talks funny like Jed too," said the small one, snickering. "Don't mind him," said the other. He extended his paw as Chai reached their level. "I'm Chuck, right?" "No, I'm Sam," said the small one. Recovering his manners, he added, "We was just about to chow down. Do you care to partake?" Then he turned to Chuck and behind his paw added, "He probably doesn't know what a pine cone is, neither." "I'm Chai," said Chai, "and you're right, I don't." So they showed him. And as they had showed Jed only the day before, they marveled at his story. "You grey types is quite the adventurous lot," said Chuck. "We reddish tends to stay put." "So do I," said Chai. "Usually." Chuck and Sam were staying put by moving into a large cavity in the corner of the ledge. They showed Chai how they had already begun to cozy it up with grasses and leaves. After the brief tour, they stepped back onto what Chuck was calling the veranda and gazed at the unusual view before them. The forest had been removed from all around the buzz paths. A long corridor of empty space stretched as far as they could see until a curve took it out of sight. Some humans sat on the ground at the close end of the corridor having a picnic. Chai didn't understand why the buzz paths needed so much empty air around them, but having traveled here on the buzz paths, he understood that these were the same paths that had passed through his own grove. One of them was within jumping distance of his mom and dad's nest.
How frightened they would have been if this destruction happened there. Terrified. And then it dawned on him that this would happen there. That's what was going on. Their home, his home, everyone's home would disappear. He had to go tell them, warn them, help them. He would warn everyone. But they're all done, said Chuck, when Chai told him his plan. Sam stretched, basking in the sunlight. Listen at how quiet it is, he said. They're not all done, said Chai. If they were, they would leave. Still he hesitated, not because of Chuck's words, but because of Jed and Sutsa. They were somewhere in this strange place far from home, maybe together, maybe each one alone. How on earth would he find them? How could he not try? At the same time, in a definite location that he knew how to get to, everyone else he loved was unaware of the mayhem and destruction coming their way. He was only one squirrel. There wasn't much time. What should he do? What would you do if it were you?